This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
Sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri. I am your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Hope you're having a blessed day wherever you're tuned in around the world, whether it's 95 FM, pulse95radio.com, our app, Sharjah Broadcasting Authority, or even if you're chilling at home watching us live on YouTube. Right, okay, we got a great show. And you know, today has a different feel to it because it's a birthday day. And I say that because someone I know, well, actually two people that I know, it's their birthdays and they're twins. And they're starting the teenage life as well. So we kind of have to give them a happy birthday. So happy birthday to Kulthum and Hussein, who are part of the Reset community. I wanted to give them a huge shout out on Pulse 95 Radio. What's coming up on the show? Right, let me tell you. Do you need a why to endure a how? Now, when it comes down to purpose, a lot of the times, whether it's sports or whether it's life, we kind of focus on what our purpose is. And that gets us through the rainy days. So we're discussing today what our why is and how we can get through it, through endurance and through tough times. And we did face tough times in 2020. By the way, if you haven't checked out the video that Gabby and Mario did, the Pulse 95 Radio video, recap of 2020, go check it out on Pulse 95 Radio. It's incredible, really, really good stuff. And it shows all the presenters from all the shows talking about the year, which is great. Not only that, Mesut Ozil bids farewell to Arsenal. Now, there's a lot behind this character, the footballer, the person, his beliefs, the contract situation. A footballing decision, some people say, is why he was left out of Arteta's team. We discussed that today. And him going back to Turkey and what that means for Ozil and his career. A roundup of Europe's top action, mixed martial arts and UFC is absolutely booming right now. And they are here in the UAE. Fight Island is happening. Magny's fighting tonight. But a certain Irish fighter is taking all the praise and all the shine this week as he fights Dustin Poirier on Saturday at Fight Island. So we talk about that as well. And I also want to hear from you. If you have a why to live, can you endure anyhow? That's the question of the day. Stay tuned for more on the only place to be at 3, the Halftime Show on Pulse 95.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
We are back. Welcome back to the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri. Thank you very much for connecting and spending time with me. Shout out to Ahmad as well. We got all different ages, different backgrounds, different races that tune in to the Halftime Show, and I'm so happy to spend this hour with you. So I'm going to make it worth your while. Right, okay, one of the big talks, especially during January in the transfer window, is who's going to leave and who's going to come in. Now, for those that aren't into football, let me break down this scenario for you. You are a professional that has won the World Cup, okay? You represent Germany. You've played for some of the biggest clubs in the world, including Real Madrid and Arsenal. You're very strong in your beliefs. You're very spiritual, which is actually a very good thing. And also, you have moved to Europe. Now, when you've gone to Europe, you play for a great team called Arsenal. Now, it goes really well in the beginning. You become one of the best players at giving assists. Now, at this stage now, through the managers, one thing starts to come across and portray to the media is we need to keep this player. And in doing so, this player is now offered £350,000 a week. Yes, £350,000 a week. Now, no one's saying that this is the player that picked that, but this is the deal that he was served. So in getting £350,000 a week, he now has, let's say, cemented his future and quite well off and everything's fine, but he has earned that. He played for Real Madrid and actually was quoted to be the second best player at Real Madrid, which is a huge thing regardless of the time or perspective. So Mesut Ozil is the person we're talking about today. Now, 3 or 4 managers down the line, Mesut Ozil is looked at as someone that doesn't work as hard, doesn't give the effort or put the time in terms of tracking back because of his position. And this is where we're going to start off with now. The number 10 position in the world of football is kind of a dying breed. Now, if I say that to you, if I asked you to name me 5 number 10s at the moment, you'd probably struggle. Even if I asked you to name 2. Now, Mesut Ozil was the best or one of the best players in the world at assisting attackers forward. Anyone who was playing up front loved to play with him. However, the way time has changed and the way formations have changed and coaches' mentalities have changed, in the system, especially in the Premier League, it's very dynamic. And having a dynamic system, you cannot carry any passengers. And what I mean by that is if you're not putting the time in, if you're not putting the effort in, or tracking back, or covering, especially the way that the central defenders nowadays play, they don't just defend, they're able to play from the back. If I talk to you about Virgil van Dijk, if I talk to you about Laporte, if I talk to you about even players like David Luiz, the fact that they can play such fast passes through the lines, whether it's over the top or on the ground, it's able to really, let's say, really show someone's weakness. Now, Mesut Ozil hasn't been the best at defending, but in doing so now, he's been kind of found out that nowadays you have to base a team around him. You can't base him around a team, and that's why he hasn't fit in the system. Now, that's regarding football situation, but however, it's been much publicized that Mesut Ozil has not been playing for Arsenal. The reason being is they said it was football reasons. Now, I don't blame Mikel Arteta for that. I blame the people, the advisors, and the people who have made that decision behind the scenes, whether that's Edu, whether that's Vinay, whoever it is, they have decided not to play him. Now, I always say there's so much more that happens behind the scenes that we don't know about. Doing so, the contract situations, the loyalty bonus, which was reported at 8 million that he received for being loyal at staying at Arsenal, was already ludicrous, knowing that he's been paid so much money and he hasn't played. So I think one more kick of the football at Arsenal and he probably would have got more money. And I think financially it wasn't something that Arsenal could do, and that's why they didn't play him. Now, they came out and said it was for footballing reasons, and I don't think it was. I think it was mainly to do with the contract situation that he had. Now, a lot has been said about his religious beliefs, his spiritual beliefs, and this is something I really respect about Mesut Ozil. He stands by what he believes. He's very spiritual, irregardless of the religion. Now, he is a Muslim, which is fantastic, but he was very strong in his beliefs, his mentality. He feels he was treated a little bit harshly, especially with, the whole Wuhan China incident and things that, came across regarding them stopping to actually show Mesut Ozil and show Arsenal because of Ozil and his beliefs and the things that he felt there was a lot of injustice there. Moving forward from that, he has now got the move to Fenerbahce, and in doing so, a lot of the players have tweeted and messaged and thanked him for his services, but he was still allowed to train with the first team. I don't know how good that would be for morale, especially when he would do something good, for example, how, the other players would feel about that. He has now left the club, and I think more than anything, especially on the show, we like to look at the positive side of things, and I think that a lot of people are now appreciating the good things that Mesut Ozil did, instead of looking at how much he got paid, how sometimes his tweets could be quite patronizing when he would send out a message on Twitter or on social media. There were so many factors there, and I guess we'll only find out when he does retire, when he is allowed to speak about things. These are kind of the factors that I think Mesut Ozil in himself is going to come out with the real story, because Arsene Wenger spoke about him as well, and a lot of people have discussed the Mesut Ozil situation. What do you think of the Mesut Ozil situation? Has he left with a sour taste, or are people appreciating him for the good things he did? And will he still have the motivation to play? And I wonder if Fenerbahce will change the style of play to accommodate his position. Now, that's very, very interesting. Text me on 4215 Itasalat or slide into my DMs and let me know what you think of the Mesut Ozil situation, leaving Arsenal to go to Fenerbahce. But coming up next, the question we raised is, do we need a why to succeed and get through the dark days? And not only that, but if you have a why to live for, can you endure anyhow? Think about that. Let me know. I'm going to play some Sam Henshaw and we'll be right back after this. Enjoy, guys.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Adori. I am your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Thank you very much for keeping me company. Shout out to Hidayah as well, who's in the building. She came in during the break and just kept me company. Always brings a smile, and she is Mikel Arteta's sister and one of our favorites in Reset as well. Right, okay. So the question we have of today is, do we need a why to endure anyhow? Now, sometimes I like to relate things to sport, but I also like to relate things to life. And when it comes down to that, the purpose aspect really adds an element to get through the dark days. Now, let's say we look at some of the best athletes in the world. We look at, Kobe Bryant, rest his soul, Muhammad Ali, Roger Federer, Tiger Woods, Jonah Lomu. All these people, Michael Jordan, all these superstars, they've gone through a lot to be able to get through where they are. And we always hear about the success, but not often about, the challenges that people face. And that's exactly why I'm asking you, do we need a why? Because it's very easy to just, say, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm done. And that is the factor that we look at here on the Halftime Show, the mental game. Umniya Saleh mentioned it earlier, the emotional side of things. You've got the physical side of things. And as we get older and more mature, we are able to endure things mentally. However, the body reacts a different way, and the body follows the way the brain moves and grooves. And that's what Jim Quick told me when he came on the show. So purpose is kind of really, really interesting. I look at these athletes. I look at someone like Conor McGregor, who's fighting this week, for example, and I kind of ask, why is he fighting? Why is he fighting if he's got all the money in the world? He has sponsorships, endorsements, everything. He does not need to step into the ring and risk his livelihood, risk his health. He doesn't have to do that. He's got 2 kids and 1 on the way. So it's 3 kids in total. When you step into the cage, when you box, when you fight, when you get into the octagon, it's not a game. It's putting it at risk. So the fact that he's able to do that, his why is a lot deeper than just trying to be cool or trying to, get a bit of limelight. He doesn't need that. He's an incredible athlete. So him fighting Dustin Poirier this weekend has absolutely driven the UFC world crazy. Looking at how things are, it's insane, the amount of traction. Like tonight, there's a fight. Magny's fighting tonight. UFC Fight Island's on tonight. But everyone's still talking about Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, that fight. Then will they fight Khabib? Khabib had a meeting with Dana White. Dana White mentioned it earlier. And that's kind of where I'm taking you guys with the story. If you have a why, what is it? Text me on 4215 Ittasalat or slide into my DMs and let me know. Do you have a why, and does that help you endure anyhow? When you face challenges, when you get a lot of things that really test you mentally, physically, all these factors, does that get you through it? Yesterday, my cousin Yassine was talking to me about, what my why was, and something that happened the other night. He was actually not teasing me, but we were talking football. There was a game on. I was really, I was kind of under the weather. I was feeling a bit groggy. My nose was runny and all sorts of stuff. And he turned around and he said, Omar, we have a tactic board in the room. Omar, if I play this formation, what are you going to do with this and that? In the beginning, I was kind of answering him while I was watching the TV. Oh, you just have to do this and that. And then he said, well, what about if I change it to a 6 at the back, Italian style, looking at the old Italian defensive formations, the way the patterns were? What would you do in the midfield? What's the point of that? What if you're losing 1-0? And he kept answering. Then eventually, I didn't know what he was doing. Eventually, I got off the sofa, went over, and apparently got quite, not aggravated, but quite into it. So I was telling him, listen, there's no point playing this if you're trying to defend the leader. And I really went into the talk with him. And yesterday he told me that is your why. Your why is to coach. You live off coaching people, making people feel better. And you know what? That gets you through the rough days, because financially it might not always be rewarding. You might not always get what you deserve when you're coaching, because you're not going to charge someone for every minute you talk to them. You're going to give and you're going to give and you're going to give. You're going to try and give as much as you can and do more, just to be able to fulfill something in your heart that you believe is the right thing. The universe does serve up in a different way, but we do have, even as coaches, we do have rainy days. We do have days that are very challenging, and you kind of wake up and you wonder, why am I doing this? If it's not as financially rewarding, or a 9-to-5 or etc. The whole point of that is through what your roots are, how you were raised, what you believe should be done. If you weren't raised a certain way, how you believe people should be treated and how humans should be looked after. And I think that's something that, from a personal perspective, keeps me doing what I'm doing after 18 years of coaching. And that's why I kind of ask you the question, Do you have a why, and does it help you endure a how? 4215 Ittasalat or slide into my DMs and let me know. We still got people commenting on the Ozil situation, so we're going to take a break, play a little bit of a Davido, Summer Walker. I know you love this tune. Here, enjoy it. Here we go.
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Sure is that time. It's the halftime show with Omar Al-Duri. Hope you're having a great day. What a show it's been already. We've spoken about Mesut Ozil, the situation, contract, personality, religion, culture. We spoke about that. I heard a few people messaged in saying, they don't believe he was treated right. And then we also spoke about, do we need a why to succeed, to get through the dark days? And if so, do you need a why to endure anyhow? And what I mean by that is we get so many different questions that sometimes we ask ourselves those kind of questions. Why did this happen? And how did it happen? And what's the purpose of this story? What can I take out of this? What's the perspective? There's a lot of things that sometimes when something happens, you can always look at the negative side of things and you can look at the positive side of things. And I was actually listening to a podcast the other day, and Nietzsche was speaking about his methodology when it came down to that. And finding your purpose is not that easy. By the way, it doesn't matter what age you're at. I think sometimes it's the experience, whether you're just coming out of university or going to enter university and you want to find out what your purpose is, what you're passionate about, and you want to do it, or even if it's something that when you're in your, let's say in your 40s and you're still trying to find what is it that I love, what is my passion, what am I looking to do, how can I fulfill, going into work and not feeling like it's work. Those are the questions I think overall that, a lot of people ask themselves those questions, and it's getting a lot of traction, by the way. Sama, we miss you a lot, Sama. The music has been decent by RR, I'm not going to lie, it's been decent, but yeah, Sama, miss you. RR's going to give me so much crap after this. But yeah, so regarding that's kind of like how we've taken with the show. Umniya Saleh jumped in, Hidayah jumped in during the break. If you're on the Instagram live at Omar Al-Duri, you get a chance to see them. Umniya, with the cookie emoji, she got me some treats today, which I'm trying to be very good. And then you've also got the idea of Hidayah, who actually put a filter on. Do you get offended, by the way, when someone takes a picture of you and wax on a filter? I don't know, man, but I love Umniya. She's a sister from a different mister, and Mikey's sister. So, right, okay, so when we're coming into this segment now, it's kind of a segment where I take a lot of the comments that you guys have spoken to me about and kind of twist it in. UFC is happening at the moment. Magny's fighting tonight. I was invited to go down tonight. I didn't get a chance to go because I've obviously got training and things like that. Shout out to my RBO crew, by the way. A lot of the talk is about Conor McGregor and about Dustin Poirier and about those fights. By the way, did anyone watch the Max Holloway Qatar fight? Wow, Max Holloway looked incredible, and his boxing was so on point. The amount of strikes landed and the amount of strikes thrown as well, his efficiency. He was even talking to the commentators while he was throwing the punches. It was so impressive, man. I love watching a display of someone who a lot of people feel that, and I'm probably one of those as well. Max Holloway was robbed from that second fight, especially the championship fight, to be able to beat Volkanovski. And now Brian Ortega faces him. Now, if Brian Ortega wins, and we had Brian Ortega on the show before, I'm sure you remember that. It's on the YouTube as well, Pulse 95 Radio. When Brian Ortega came on the show, he was talking about mindset. He was talking about doing the boring things rather than trying to do things just that looked fancy. He said, I had to focus on resetting my training, my nutrition, my sports science. So I looked at that, and I know he's not going to be an easy fight for the championship fight. And I really hope Brian Ortega does win, not just because he came on the show, but because from the transition he's made in the fight game has been so impressive. So I hope he wins that. But Max Holloway was incredible. Now Conor McGregor is fighting Dustin Poirier, and it will be at Fight Island. Looking at that now, I'm kind of thinking to myself, stylistically, Conor said he wants to finish it in 60 seconds. Is that a decoy for what he's trying to do? Is he maybe trying to go and, let's say, out-wrestle, out-grapple Dustin Poirier? Dustin Poirier has his hands up and he's covering his face so he doesn't get knocked out in 60 seconds. Conor switches levels, maybe a couple of kicks to the leg, one hit to the face, and then maybe takes him down and submits him. Listen, if that happens, I'm going to cut this up and put it on my Instagram, because I think when you we've called him Mystic Mag in the past, but I think when you we spoke about visualization as well. When you actually visualize something and you announce it publicly, now everyone is watching. Everyone's kind of, the game plan is if this comes to life and he finishes the fight in 1 minute, then all of a sudden, Khabib is on the equation. We're looking at that and we're thinking, because let's face it, I don't think GSP will drop to 155 to fight Khabib, and therefore that 30-0 is under question a little bit. But I'm looking at the division now and I'm thinking McGregor Khabib third fight. That would be amazing. A second fight. Sorry, it'll be amazing. Why? Because Conor said something the other day. He said, I know how to beat him. He fought me on my worst day and I fought him on his best day. So that tells me already that there's nothing left in the armory of Khabib to be able to put that forward. And now I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, do I believe Conor? Is he just selling that fight? Is he trying to wake up the giant to get back in? And Dana White did have a meeting with him the other day and kept it very ploy. He said, you know what? Khabib's going to be watching and he wants to be wowed. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but something tells me that if Conor McGregor wins this fight convincingly, everyone is going to start to draw parallels and everyone's going to say Khabib needs to fight him again. Now, if he does look good, we know that Conor does not need to fight. This is why I'm talking about whys in the show. He doesn't need to fight. He's already got all the money he needs to be able to live well, him and his family. And that's why I'm very interested to see how this fight goes on. Let me know what you think. 4215 Itasalat or will Conor McGregor beat Dustin Poirier? And if he will, does he deserve to fight the incredible Khabib Nurmagomedov? We're coming up right after the break. Enjoy Come Through, one of my favorite tracks. And we'll be right back after this. Enjoy.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Sure is that, sir. Mr. Halftime Show with Omar Adori. Shout out to Derek, Ish, Terry, Almas, Murad, Isa, Nashat. Happy birthday to Hussein and Kulthum. A special little shout out to Ammar as well. Then you've got Hidayah, Umniya, Mikey, RR, Sama, who's tuned in from across the world, Focus, JTDXB as well, and everyone else who's connected, Masoud as well, and Shayma. God, everyone, Debo, Florin, thank you so much, guys, for spending this time with me, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time out. We spoke about Conor McGregor, we spoke about UFC Fight Island, we spoke about what is your why when you have to endure a how, and that came down to not just athletes, not just professionals, but also with our goals. People are talking about New Year's resolutions and sticking to them in January and the hype and all that kind of stuff. Now we're kind of wondering if we can endure that, and especially on those dark days, what's going to make you get up again and do it? So that's another thing we spoke about. Mesut Ozil, God, that took a lot of traction, and a lot of people spoke about that today. Shout out to Ikram, who's also just joined in. Ikram, you're a bit late, Ikram, I'll send you the YouTube, don't worry. So across all these things that we spoke about, there are things. We've had actually a lot of comments coming in, a lot of messages and thoughts about the Mesut Ozil situation. The fact that, the man stood for what he believed. He tried to stay positive, and now he's gone to Fenerbahce. A lot of things about him being a Muslim, about being mistreated, being an outcast. Or his original roots are Turkish, but he's represented Germany, won the World Cup with them, was the second best player at Real Madrid at one point. So many factors there that, people look at, and sometimes people only see what's in the media. I'm sure, there's a lot of good things that Mesut Ozil has brought to the table, and we kind of appreciate that a little bit. Right, okay, we've had some fantastic guests, and I like to reach out to a few people normally and ask them, to come on the show and everything. And we're going to have Super Swede on probably next week. That's going to be good. Kenzie, an incredible squash player, she's going to be on as well. But if you guys know of anyone that you want to be on the show, now obviously, Messi and Ronaldo and those guys, maybe one day, but for now, we'll just have to watch them on the other side of the world. But if you do have people that you think, especially based in the UAE, that you think would be great on the Halftime Show, that can offer a lot in terms of insight on mental health, gut health, their own personal experiences, their journey, let me know. Slide into my DMs at Omar Duri, and ideally, if you know them, tag them as well, just to let them know that there's a cool show called The Halftime Show that's on Pulse 95 Radio in the heart of Sharjah. And all of our episodes get uploaded on YouTube on Pulse 95 Radio as well. So thanks to Super Mario and Gabby, they make it commercial and ad-free and put on a lot of great content on here, which is great, man. I've loved being here. And we had a recap of 2020, which just came out. A really good video. Head over to the Pulse 95 Radio and check it out. It's just a lot of things have happened in 2020, and it almost feels like a couple of years condensed into one, but that's what's happening. Now 2021 has kind of, uplifted a lot of people, and hopefully good things coming our way. Almas is saying the organizers of the YFL, they're so amazing. Yes, I do believe so. That would be good. The AWFL have been on here, but the YFL could definitely be an option on the show. We like to highlight international and local, coaches, athletes, stars, people that do a lot for the community. So let us know. And we are reaching full time on the halftime show. Coming up next is the afternoon correct with Mika Atiyah and Aisha Al-Mazmi. And shout out to Hidayah as well for making an appearance between the commercials as well, which is fantastic. Have a great day, guys, and I will be seeing you very, very soon. Stay blessed, guys. Peace.
If you liked this episode of The Halftime Show, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.